Well, good morning. It's Saturday morning here in Australia, and it's the day after the CrowdStrike software update has had global impact. And it's been such a great reminder of the opportunity for coaching, in my mind anyway. And so what I wanted to do is to really quickly share with you how coaching through crisis can create opportunity for solving the problem, working through the challenge, and creating growth and development in some of your people. So what got me thinking was, whenever we have a crisis, whenever there's an emergency, turbulence, disaster, all of those things, there is huge, enormous weight on the shoulders of our leaders, all of our people, but our leaders, because we need our leaders to lead us through these situations, to navigate sometimes in the unknown, in the uncertainty. And the thing is, leaders don't have all the answers to all the questions. And this is where coaching creates opportunity, because coaching is a way of tapping into all of the great resources in the people around you, about getting their ideas, their initiative, their expertise, their strengths, and applying it to whatever the situation is that we're trying to navigate. So I really wanted to just show you conceptually how this might work. We don't coach everyone all of the time, of course, because we need to adapt to the situation. But I think in crisis, there are missed opportunities to coach. And as a consequence, leaders are often operating as islands, and they're trying to solve all the problems themselves, create all the answers themselves, find the way forward all by themselves, and they don't need to. That's a huge burden to carry. And so for me, I want leaders, even in these situations, to be operating at their best, with ease and grace, despite the circumstances, and be in a situation where they can bring out the best in themselves and the people around them. So what does this involve? Very, very simply, what I'm going to do is to share with you an adaptation of situational leadership, the Great Blanchard model, and talk to you about where do the opportunities for coaching lie, whether it's a business as usual situation or it's a crisis or a one-off situation. So very quickly, 2 dimensions is what we're working with here. Oh, let me just redraw that one. Okay, so we have on our vertical axis, we have the level of skill and experience that our people have, that they, we have people that have been in the workforce longer, or maybe they have more expertise in this particular topic, or maybe they've been working in this particular business unit or on this type of a project for a period of time. And so they've gained that much more highly developed level of skill. So at the top of our axis, we've got people with a high level of skill and experience. And towards the bottom, they have a lower level of skill and experience. And this might be they're new to the workforce, they're new to this type of work, they're new to this organization, they're newer to this business unit. There's lots of reasons why we have this, diversity of skill and experience. On our horizontal axis, what we've got is, what is the type of situation? And we can have everything from the left-hand side, which is business as usual. This is the routine stuff, the things that we do all the time that we rinse and repeat. And then we have on the right-hand side, things that are more one-off scenarios. And these might be because they're brand new things. Maybe we've changed strategic direction. Maybe we're releasing a new product. So they're new things. They can also be crisis situations or emergency situations or singular response situations. So this is our one-off. Now, if I'm talking to leaders about where is their opportunity to coach, there are so many. Let me quickly run you through the 4 quadrants that are created here and highlight to you the opportunity in whether it's business as usual or crisis, but particularly in this crisis opportunity, because I feel like when we're in crisis, a lot of us default into really directing our people because we want to make sure everything happens as it should. And I think there's a bigger opportunity here. So If we have a business as usual situation and we have a group of people or an individual that we're working with and we're leading who has a low level of skill, then of course we want to train them in the skills first, because we need them to know what they need to know to do their job. The next level of interaction is to mentor them. So now that they've got the core skills and knowledge, we guide them and maybe give them some support to do the role. The final thing, though, is when we've done all of that, we can begin to coach them. So now that they have the skills, now that they've had some practice, if they keep coming back to us with the same questions, we can coach them, getting them to remember what have they learned, how did they use it last time, and coach them into what do they think perhaps the first step is or the next step is that they should do. That's people with a lower level of skill and experience. But if we've got people with a very high level of skill and experience in a business as usual situation, they have the expertise, they have the experience, they have the knowledge. Do they want us to tell them what to do? Probably not. So our role here when we're working with our more experienced people is to coach them, to ask the great questions, to get them thinking and taking active accountability for the things in their portfolio. So up here, we have this great big opportunity to coach. Got a little one down here. And coaching is about asking the questions. What do they recommend? How are they going to approach this activity? What do they need to be able to make progress? What else do they need to consider? So all of those great open questions. So this is our business as usual. But what we have at the moment, if we take as an example, the knock-on consequences of this CrowdStrike software release. There's all sorts of things happening in all sorts of organizations with varying degrees of impact. So now we have this one-off situation. Of course, there's lots of other scenarios that create these one-off situations and one-off, potential crises or emergencies. I want you to think about how can you leverage all of the great resource that you have around you in your people, in your teams, in your broader organization. Because while this is a technology related crisis or issue, it needs people to navigate the solution, to rectify, so we get back on track with how we need to operate our organization and provide services to all the people who are relying on us, whether it's our customers or our stakeholders or our providers. There's a big range. So if I'm operating with people and I'm talking to people and I'm working with my people who are highly experienced, often as a leader, as we progress and we get an even bigger portfolio and a bigger portfolio and so on, as we progress through our careers, we become less of the domain expert. We have people around us to be the domain experts. So are we going to know all of the answers, all of the solutions to everything? It's highly unlikely. And that's why we need to leverage our really experienced people. So in these situations, our role is to ask the right questions to help create those options and opportunities to move forward. So we ask the questions in this crisis, in this emergency, what do they recommend? How would they tackle it? What are the ideas they have? What options can they come up with? Who else do they need to be involved? What are the resources they need access to? And so on. So all of those great questions, often really simple questions, to foster their thinking, to encourage them to lean into coming up with ideas and leaning on their great expertise. So here we have yet another enormous opportunity for coaching, to navigate the way forward, to figure out what will make this possible. What are our options to solve this or to find a new way forward or a different way forward or an alternative way to delivering an outcome. So huge opportunity to coach. All right, now we're still in our crisis or our one-off scenario. We have our less experienced people who are less familiar. They have less in their toolkit. In this situation, when we have this kind of maybe really short timeframes that we're working with, where perhaps there is high levels of risk and that sort of thing, it's probably unfair in the first instance to coach these people. Like, they don't have enough experience and skill to know the answers. So in this instance, to begin with, we probably mentor. We give them guidance, suggestion. We may even direct them exactly what they need to do step by step, depending on the severity and all of that of the situation that we find ourselves in. But it doesn't finish there. Once we are through the other side of the situation, we've got our fix in place, or we've found our option and we've implemented it. Now, with our least experienced people, we have an opportunity to coach. So after the fact, what we want to do is coach them so that they can gain some learning from this scenario. So simple questions. What did they learn? How might they approach this next time? What would they do differently? How could they preempt this kind of a situation? So depending, of course, on the scenario, which questions are appropriate. So now we're creating an opportunity for our people to learn and grow, ready for next time. And we can also do this after the situation with our most experienced people to really tap into their knowledge and develop best practice and preemptive activity and planning and all of those sorts of things. So we can use those great coaching questions with them as well. So what we have, even in a crisis or an emergency or a one-off, are great opportunities to coach, to bring out the best in our people, but also to take that best and apply it to the situation right now, rather than as the leader trying to figure out everything yourself. Leverage, utilize your people, really, invite them into taking accountability and support them, and really, facilitate bringing out their greatness in this situation. And then with both our lower, lesser skilled and experienced people and our more experienced and skilled people, after the fact, we still have opportunities to coach, to embed learning, to develop accountability, and really just to elevate everybody's practice going forward, so they have more tools and more information in their toolkit going forward. All right. So that's my tip for today. Even in crisis, we have the opportunity to coach our people at all levels at different points in our situation. We're even in a crisis situation, and it creates opportunity both in the here and now, but in the future as well. So we're growing accountability, we're leveraging the great knowledge that we have in the people around us, and we're really sharing the burden of coming up with solutions with the people around us, because lots of brains and lots of human skills applied to that situation is going to be far better than your capacity on your own. Capacity of one versus a capacity of many. I think it's a pretty easy difference to see there. So if this has been of interest, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, and how you're applying coaching in everything that you do at the moment. And if you'd like to learn a little more, then follow me. Drop a note in the comments about your thoughts and ideas, and I would. And I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. So have a great day, and I hope that you have either avoided the issue or you've found a way through this particular challenge with this pretty far-reaching IT outage.